Well, if anyone's watching, sorry, I cannot get my camera to kick on. I'm going to try and figure this out. Hopefully get going here. Everything works fine during the test, and then you try and do it for real, and it all falls apart. It's so typical. Everything looks normal. I can't even figure out what it could possibly be. Failed. All right, now we're in business. There we go. I had to unplug it and plug it back in. Typical. That's always the easiest solution, or the first solution you should try with everything, right? Unplug it and plug it back in. So yeah, from the back of the PC. But anyways, here we are now. Wow. Let's see as I get everything set in. It looks like my audio is going kind of crazy. If anyone's listening, jump in the chat and let me know if the audio is any good. That's always the problem with these things. I have my headphones here, but as this is my second time ever doing this, I have not figured out how to monitor the audio coming out of the software I use to stream. Anyway, so hopefully it's good. I'm just going to wing it anyways. So I'm Tim Fitzwater from Fitzwater Photography, and I'm going to start by saying what I'm doing here. So when lockdown started, my favorite YouTuber started doing a live stream almost every single day. Terry Berenson, he does bike videos. He's also a photographer and a videographer, so I've always found his stuff very interesting. Check out his channel. I actually have it already linked in the description if you're not a follower of him and you're into cycling. His stuff is awesome. But yeah, so he started doing these live streams when you couldn't really get out and work, and especially him in New York City, but we were pretty shut down here. And he called them the morning routine, and you could see I kind of shamelessly ripped off his name for my evening routine. But they were pretty cool, and kind of a community formed around us, and in the chat, a lot of us started to get to know each other, and we followed each other's channels. And then Terry started to play some of the members' videos and stuff like that. And it was just really cool, and it was a good thing, fun thing to do, and he still does almost 3 a week. And yeah, it's just a cool community. But some days he just answers the questions in the chat. And the one day when he was answering, someone asked if he got anything out of doing all the live streams. And he said, yeah, he started to actually get paid to run live streams for organizations or companies. And that rang a bell to me where I was like, if my clients asked me to run a live stream, would I be able to do it? And I was like, at this point, I wouldn't. So I decided I would start to figure out some of this stuff so I knew how to do it, and then if a client asked me, I could offer that as a professional service. But I would never offer something without being able to do it as a professional and at that level. So that's basically what the point of this is. I haven't promoted these at all yet. You know, I just throw them up on YouTube, and eventually I'll maybe start to let people know on social media, on all my social media and stuff like that I'm doing it, and maybe there could be a little conversation here. Like I said, I plan to try and do them on Tuesdays and Thursday evenings at 9 o'clock, but I am a freelancer, so sometimes my schedule gets messed up, but I figured 9 is good because now the sun's already set by 9 and I'm rarely out riding my bike at that time anymore. So seems like a good time to try and do it, and maybe a good time that a few people would want to come over and nerd out about cycling, photography, the Tour de France. Last week we kind of nerded out about all. Ben from Columbus, Pudgy Pedal Pusher, was in the chat, and me and him kind of just nerded out about whatever we want. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here. And then, so if no one is joining and jumping in the chat, I kind of made a list for myself for some stuff to show and go through. And basically what I want to do is each time I make one of these, I want to be able to add an element, you know, or two to get better at streaming and to make it more interesting for me and for anyone who happens to tune in. But yeah, last week I started out, I went through with what my setup was. I'll do a quick one here too. It's pretty much the same setup. I started on Thursday, and then with a long weekend where we did some stuff and I actually had some work, I didn't get the chance to modify the actual physical setup, but I did add a couple elements. So the setup is the camera recording me as my 5D Mark IV. I have it mounted on a magic arm here between a dual monitor setup, you know, and one monitor right now is showing me what the streaming software is doing, and that's where I'm controlling everything. On the other monitor, I have what YouTube shows, but and then that's the one I switch to what I'm going to be controlling if I have stuff on screen. I'm running my audio through a lavalier mic right here, and it goes into an audio interface, which is what I use to record audio for my professional videos, a Tascam DRX40, but when it's set up as an audio interface, it runs through USB into the computer. So I could usually get good sound, and also I need to use phantom power with this mic. So this offers that. Whoa, I just put my arm on it. Yeah, so that's basically the hardware setup. Like I said, eventually I do need to figure out how to get my headphones to work so I can monitor audio and know it's working without having to always ask someone or try and do the playback. That's my other plan, was to pull the chat up on my phone instead of having it on the screen, so then I don't need to watch the screen the whole time. Turn that off so I don't get the feedback loop. Cool. Yeah, so anyways, got some good rides in over the last week, and I was gone all on Sunday and Monday. We did a camping trip. So I posted a video today from our trip, which Sunday was a beautiful ride out to Garrettsville. We went out to my friend Ben's farm, different Ben than the Ben I was talking about in the chat. Trying to lower the audio. It still looks like it's peaking like crazy. I don't know why. Should be pretty good. It's weird because the interface is giving me a different face detect won't show it, but levels than the streaming software. Huh. Oh well. Yeah, so we rode out Sunday morning. We stopped in Kent, got some coffees, and then went out to Ben's family's farm in Garrettsville. Set up camp, went out and went into Garrettsville, got some drinks and dinner, some supplies for the fire and all that. So yeah, that was a cool trip. But then we woke up Sunday morning and made our coffee. We looked at the radar and everything started to get dark, and it just started storming, as anyone around here knows, and it then just proceeded to storm all day. So I made a video that's kind of in two parts. It's like this beautiful Sunday ride, and then Monday is basically just a total mess of us sitting in tents and then finally deciding we have to, you know, get out of there and getting soaked on our bikes. So if you haven't seen that yet, check it out. It's the latest post on the video. I also took a few photos from that trip. First, I did take some photos. Last Friday, we did a beer run to Magic City. Aaron had ordered their latest can release, their brewery, and the light was beautiful. And I didn't make a video that night, but I did shoot some photos. And this is the other new element I've added, being able to show photos from bridge in here. So yeah, it looks like that's working. Yeah, so this is out at Summit Lake. That's Ben, or Large Marge on Instagram. Just perfect light. All these photos are like light and shadows. I mean, it was so great. I hate that it's starting to get dark earlier, but I also like that we get that the magic hour just kind of extends this time of year as the sun's always lower in the sky. Yeah, just riding along Summit Lake. Look at those long shadows. I just think that's so cool. Yeah, on the boardwalk at Summit Lake, which features in many, many of my videos. Again, I shoot these usually when I'm riding with my older camera, which is an original 6D, and then this is the lens I have on it is a 40mm f2.8 pancake lens. So basically I use it because of its size. I could fit this in a sling chrome bag I have that I'll wear over my back, but it also fits in my frame bag really nice, which is kind of why I started using this as my setup. When this camera first came out, it was the world's smallest full frame camera, which is kind of funny now compared to, you know, even what Canon has out there. But yeah, that's my setup for riding and getting still photos while I'm riding. Here's Aaron. I like the shot with the sun glaring off the water. Can I make these bigger? Why not these full screen? That's kind of that, you always see that with wedding photographers now, like the engagement style photo is always that backlit type photo. Looks pretty cool on the bike at the lake though. Ben and Aaron on the boardwalk, again, just perfect light. This is shot this one a little darker. I wanted the sky to come out as well because the sky was beautiful. And then that, if you watch my videos, the train bridge right there, that's the one we're always hanging out on. It's where we stop to have beers and conversation. It's like I joked before in one of the videos, it's the COVID bridge because it's our outdoor social distancing hangout meetup spot. Yeah, I love these shadows. Like, just those, they look so cool on the fence there. And then all this whatever this plant is behind the fence and that bridge up ahead, the colors are just awesome. The shadows are awesome. Those are the long shadows. When I was taking this, it was intentional. I'm riding my bike, trying to get like focus on Aaron, then move the camera over to make sure those shadows were showing up. Yep. Perfect colors. I do, like I've mentioned before, I'm not crazy about the colors that come off the pancake lens. It gets a very purplish look in the shadows that I don't like, so I usually have to go in and I've kind of devised a method of using the split toning in Lightroom to kind of push the shadows towards the green end of the spectrum and make the photos look a little better. Yeah, it's a great shot. Look at that sky. I did drop a little of a dehaze gradient filter into that to bring it back out, and then brought the bottom half of the photo's exposure up. There's one where I knew I had to cheat the exposure to get like exactly what I would want out of that. I think I shot almost all of these at 2.8, shot them wide open to get that nice blur and really focus in on either Aaron or Ben, whoever happened to be in the shot at the time. Just like the colors of the beer there in the late day sun. One was a delicious sour with vanilla beans added, and the other one is a hazy. We had, I think, all their hazies that night, so I can't remember exactly which one. And a snack, some tendies. And then as we were leaving in the, late with the Magic City sign and the, sunset over the lake, Nesbitt or Nesmith. I can't remember which lake that is, but that's another spot you've probably seen in some of the videos we ride around and hang out at. On the other side of the lake, there's some picnic tables kind of in the brush. It's a great spot to grab a crowler or a beer and go and sit and hang out. So yeah, I was really happy with the way those photos looked. Just absolutely awesome light that day, that evening. So it was Friday. So yeah, I'm drinking I have the can over here. Wolf Ridge is a great brewery in Columbus. It's a hazy, it was a 4-pack, kind of expensive, an $18 4-pack. I got at Bottles yesterday after we got rescued, or we rescued ourselves. We borrowed Ben's parents' car to get home instead of riding home in that crazy lightning. So we stopped at Bottles and had a drink, and I picked up this 4-pack. Also got my Black Fork pint glass. No Black Fork this year with everything that's going on, but I wouldn't have been able to make it anyways. If everything wasn't happening, I would have had an event to shoot. Instead, I had nothing going on that day. I did have a couple more. I had some photos from the trip over the weekend from Sunday. I didn't shoot any when it was raining. Garrettsville. Yeah, this is our first stop out in Kent, coffee and snack stop. We left here at 9:30, so I think it's less than an hour out to Kent, 10 miles maybe from here, down the hike and bike trail. So they don't have the inside open. They just have like an outside where you walk up and order, and then they go and make you your coffee and grab you your snacks. Brad with Ben and Aaron in the background. Aaron. Got my Terry B hotline sticker I just put on the Roger Riviera. That's what I rode this weekend. I still had my Trek. I hadn't put the wheels back on or cleaned it up since we did the New York trip. And I really kind of wanted to get in good and clean it up. That the Erie Trail was all cinders and everything was just covered in dust and dry, and I just really wanted to clean everything up pretty good before I rode it again. I actually rode it tonight, but the Riviera is a really comfortable bike to ride. It's heavy. I mean, heavy by, you know, a road bike 10-speed standards, but it's really comfortable with the Brooks saddle and some soft steel, I think, and then those wider tires, 38s on it I got squeezed in there. This was when we were almost to Garrettsville on the Headwaters Trail. We stopped to have a little nip. Yeah, this lens doesn't have a horrible background blur for being a cheap 2.8. I think they're somewhere in the $200 to $300 range, which, if anyone's into photography, is actually very cheap for camera lenses. Now, yeah, after setting up camp, it's the brewery in Garrettsville. It's called the Mill or something like that. It's always Garrett's Mill or Garrett's something. Like Ben said, it's changed a number of times. That's his hometown. So the beer seemed decent. Unfortunately, everything was flat. So I think someone at the bar didn't have the CO2 right. So, you know, I got their Oktoberfest, which tasted decent for being, you know, it's hard to tell when it's flat, but, you know, a lager, if it is bad, you'll know it's bad. There's nothing to hide behind when you're making a lager. So it wasn't horrible. Then I had the double IPA, and again, such a hoppy beer, it wasn't awful. But it was hard to really tell. Ben ordered their birch beer, which is basically like an alcoholic root beer, which with that being flat just was not good. But again, I can't really judge it. I think I can't put it on the brewer. I think it was a bartender or whoever, you know. And I told the waitress as we were leaving, I'm like, no complaints, you know, we don't have no problems here, but you might want to have whoever's tending bar check on that setup. Yeah, back at the campsite, we got back and we actually went for a hike. It's in the video. We just hiked down the creek to a waterfall, but I didn't take any photos because I just didn't bring my camera. I just brought the GoPro. Fire pick. Another fire pick. Also, this camera, the 6D is always, for some reason, I should show the original of this. It renders like evening in such a blue tone. I always really push the sliders over to yellow to bring them back to a more true color, what it actually looked like when I was there. My 5D doesn't do that nearly as much. I know I still yellow up night photos a little bit, but not nearly as much as I had to when I used the 6D as my main camera. Aaron at the fire. Ben, he was also lucky he got his new tent, since we did end up stuck in that thunderstorm. His old tent was like one of those real low ones where you can only lay down in. One of the things for me about a tent is always there needs to be set up space, even if it's a small tent, because if you do get stuck in the rain, you definitely want to be able to, you know, sit up. Cooking some dogs late at night. His dad brought us out this grill where you pound that post in the ground and put this top on, and you could swing it on and off the fire. Pretty perfect. That's Aaron's fashion statement for the fire. More dog cooking. Yeah, so those are all the ones I edited up from the trip. But yeah, definitely go and check out the video. It was a fun ride. Like I said, that storm was crazy, and we probably would have rode the whole way home if it wasn't for the lightning. I am just not a fan of being caught in a lightning storm. Even being in the tent, I know you're no safer, but at least gives you the illusion of safety. Though at times I did start to worry. I'm like, one of these trees is going to get struck by lightning and fall into the tent, and we're just going to all be smashed out here. So, yeah. Been so lucky on bikepacking trips. This is the first time I've been caught in a major storm. And this was even more lucky because we weren't far from Ben's parents' house. And we had already camped. So the fact that everything was wet didn't really matter that much. You know, we didn't have to drag, you know, wet stuff on 4 more days of trip. I always think about what happened when I'm doing a long camping trip. If I got stuck in the rain on the first day and everything's wet the whole time, what do you do? A long bikepacking trip. So, just going to show. So right before I came here, I was out actually shooting drone footage and photography at Summit Lake and in downtown Akron, shooting some stuff for the Knight Foundation of some of the stuff they've helped fund. I haven't got my drone out in a while, and that's what that, if you happen to catch the thumbnail, that's what that was from. I just figured I'd get a good shot. Yeah, this photo. Did a couple like that. Let's see. It's really fun to take selfies with a drone. You know, you can do some cool stuff. This isn't edited yet. You can kind of see where the difference between the colors I would add to an edited shot and then this being a lot more flat. You know, I shoot everything on pretty much all my cameras, whether it's the GoPro, the 5D here, the 6D, or the drone in RAW, and then I add all the colors in instead of letting the camera making all those decisions for me. So yeah, that's also, I believe I mentioned how I want to add something new to every stream, the 2 new things. I had the countdown at the intro. So the first week I just had the thumbnail, then I'm like, if you just put up a thumbnail for 10 minutes, that's got to be frustrating for anyone who does happen to be on YouTube and pops over and they have no idea what's going on. So I figured out how to add the countdown timer in, and I used that photo I just showed. And then the other thing was using Bridge so I could show photos from there that I haven't uploaded yet because I didn't get the chance to get that stuff online. Last week I showed everything I had from Flickr. One other thing I was researching too for these live streams is this desktop is a tower, but it only has, it's I guess just old enough that they for some reason only put 1 USB-C input in it. And my camera's HDMI connection needs to run to a Type-C. I think it might work with a 3.0, excuse me, but I have all my external drives running on those, so those run fast, USB 3.0. So I've been researching getting a, what do you call it, a card that I could put in the back of the computer that would have like 4 USB-C, so I could have multi-cameras and then also have all the drives running. I'm almost thinking I need 2, but yeah, definitely don't know why you would put a bunch of regular USBs on a computer like this, but I should have been paying more attention when I bought it. Whatever. Easy upgrade. It looks like they're about $100, so definitely something I need to do so I could run better streams and have more stuff going on at once. Plus, it would just be better for editing and everything else along those lines. Let's see. Yeah, so those are the new things for the stream. Like I said, 2 days a week, gonna try and see if I could ramble for about an hour and try, like I said, add a different scene to the stream each time. Like this time I added the browser, you know, keep working on the intros, work on the audio, work on multicam, stuff like that. I don't know, should I end it there? I guess I could just ramble about the Tour de France for a while, because, man, this has to be the most exciting Tour de France from day to day that I can remember. Even going back and watching highlights of older tours, you know, where some came right down to the wire, you know, like the famous Craig LeMond one. But this still seems so wide open, and I was trying to think of why it's so exciting. So I was thinking the route might have something to do with that, but then I was thinking, well, if this was the Team Sky, you know, Ineos from a few years ago, they still would have just been dominating. They still would have been riding every guy in the front, even though it started in the mountains. I think they would have just been have made it a boring tour, because I think they would have already been up by a few minutes if this was the Froome of old and, Landa and everyone, when they had the great teams built around them. But I don't know. It's just really interesting how close it's staying, and I'm not sure why, and why every single stage is so exciting. Even these flat stages, people used to kind of dread and complain about the sprinter stages. The two fairly flat stages have been just as exciting as the climbing stages so far. And we still have 8 to 10 guys who are within contention for the GC, which is just amazing. The green jersey with Peter Sagan, we're that close. Not being able to, he seems like he's just lost a half step the last few years. And I still think he's going to win green, because a lot of those other sprinters are going to get tired, being drug over the mountains, where he could always kind of hang on. But yeah, so green jerseys, interesting. The mountains competition, Cosnefroid, I can't imagine he's taking that to Paris, right? So that could heat up as the race goes on. I really, I think like a lot of people, it's hard to imagine anyone's going to beat Roglic. Jumbo-Visma is the only team that looks to be super strong. Everyone's talking about Pogačar, obviously, because he looks amazing, but man, he just doesn't seem to have the team around him. And in week 3, what's going to happen? I would love if it came down with everyone who's up there right now to this time trial up La Planche des Beaux Filles, because that would just be so exciting when your team doesn't matter and it's just you climbing a mountain to see who's going to win. So I'm hoping there's still 3 or 4 or even more guys in contention, and it really comes down to who could climb a mountain the fastest without having lieutenants and super domestiques lead them up the hill, and domestiques. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I always wonder too why I don't feel like any of the commentators, and I'm watching the U.S. coverage, I'm watching NBC, by the way, are giving Iran any credit, or EF any credit. They'll talk about him a bit, but Iran's 30 some seconds down, and he still has a decent team around him. If in week 3 Martinez and Higuita are there to support him, I think he could podium. I read an article by who was it, Andy Schleck, who gave him no credit. He was like, he'll be in the top 10, but there's no way he'll be on the podium. I got to say, there's a possibility he does podium this year. Like I said, something dramatic would happen to Jumbo-Visma to stop them and Roglic from winning the thing. And then I just don't count out Bernal. Bernal is he's shown himself in week 3 of a Grand Tour. He's dropped the world's best climbers. I don't know. Quintana looks great. I think he still looks good, but again, he doesn't have the team. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. Every day's been exciting. Today was I think there was 38 feet of elevation along the coast, right? And it turned into an exciting stage where everyone's just going crazy. So yeah, it's been a great tour. It's been exciting. Then Tirreno Adriatico also started, but I watched the highlights of the first day, but it seems like it was kind of a flat couple of sprinter stages. That's usually a race I do pay attention to, but it's on the same time as Paris-Nice, and I kind of watch both of them and flip back and forth, but they're usually not competing with the tour, so it's hard to watch anything else when the tour's on, So this season's going to be strange. Good thing too, I saw that with the COVID tests, everyone got tested, and all the riders and teams were fine. I guess it was only the race director who tested positive. I didn't have the chance to read the articles, but I got to assume they said, no, I did hear that in the commentary. He's got 7 days of quarantine now, which 7 is weird because it seems like the standard of quarantine is 14. And I think they even quarantined when the season got canceled, right? During the, what do you call it, UAE tour. Didn't everyone get quarantined for 14 days in their hotel room? But I guess if you're running the race, whatever. Strange. Everything's strange. Everything is strange and everyone knows it. But it's exciting that there's racing on, and I said I could sit here and edit photos in the mornings if I don't have a morning shoot and watch the races. I have it on my other TV over here, so I got my 2 monitors I edit on, and I turn over when something exciting is happening at the race and then sit down and watch it for the finale or, when it really heats up. see what just going to take a look at. I don't think I really have anybody in here today, so yeah, I might go ahead and end it. I'm glad I, had tried a few new things, as I've mentioned a few times. That's the point of this, to keep getting better and better at it, and keep making it better from my end, and hopefully to the point where some people do want to engage, but regardless, the point is that I know how to stream. I still plan on being here on Thursday at 9. Hopefully I'll have a little time to add a couple new elements to it by then. Trying to think. I have to be up real early on Thursday. Got a couple photo shoots on Thursday at the hospital down the street, a couple portraits, and then between now and then I have a ton of editing. I usually do my Wednesday night group rides on Wednesday, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to make it out for that. I'm going to be so busy, and I have to be up so early on Thursday morning. And when I say so early, it's actually not that early, but I have a shoot at 7:30, which is early for me. Since more and more since I run my own business, it's like I won't ever say no to an early morning, but I don't get up and start that early. I love having a slow morning. I love having a cup of coffee and looking at the news, and right now flipping on the tour before I actually get to work. To me, it's like, if you're gonna bust your ass and work for yourself, there has to be some perks, and that's definitely one of them for me, is a slow, chill morning. Oh, there's Ben. I was gonna sign off, and I have this whole half a beer left. Where are you? Are you out? Riding, sitting somewhere watching this on your phone? Yeah, there's no party. There's you and someone else watching. YouTube doesn't actually tell me who's watching unless someone comments. It just says how many people are viewing. Yeah. Where'd you ride? Ben said he just got home. I was showing these great photos of you earlier from the Magic City run. And great photos of attendees, obviously. Southern Lake in downtown, that's exactly what I did. I was shooting footage for Kyle, flew my drone, did the whole Summit Lake loop, and hit the market. Then downtown, coming back through, there was some weird workout thing going on where they bang sticks together. Have you seen this? Erin didn't come out because I had to go to the farmer's market, and she didn't want to get into work stuff. But I got home a little after 7 though, so I was out early because I wanted to get that good light for the photos. I saw Shermack. I was standing at the farmer's market. Our riding buddy Andy, he rode by and just threw up a wave, so I don't know what he was getting into. Yeah, this workout thing where there's like 4 ladies up front and they have these, I assume, plastic sticks down at lock 3, and they like bang them together and do all these dances, and they were rocking out to cover songs of, oh, what was it? I can't think, but it was just all this like, I've never seen anything like it. I was like, but I needed downtown photos at lock 3, so it was perfect to fly the drone and take some photos. So I don't have any loaded on here to show, because it was an interesting sight. Other people were stopping. People would be walking by and they're like, what is going on down here? It must be some kind of workout thing I'm totally unfamiliar with. Did I load any on yet? No. Oh, you missed it. Cadillac Hill is a nice run right now. They've moved all the branches. I don't have a bike that would get me up Cadillac Hill right now. I still need Otis to build my rally back up. I meant to text him about maybe Friday. I have a picture of my rally in its current state. There we go. So I've got my rally stripped down to this. Getting an 11-speed group set for it I bought off my friend Ryan Hugh. I had 9-speed 105. I'm getting 11-speed 105. And I think he rode for like 6 months, then decided he wanted to go to a SRAM electronic group set. I don't know who caused that wreck in the tour today, but they took out Nielsen Paulus. He finished, but there was a bunch of wrecks today. It was nuts. The flattest stage of the whole tour, and wrecks non-stop. It has been this weird jittery tour. But why did I go out of focus? I did see, let's see. I know Flow Bike showed some of the zoomed in on who crashed. Cool to see Sam Bennett win. That dude was so emotional when he got the victory. Again, Sagan right there, but just cannot get that extra step to win the stage. Or even seems like the intermediate sprints. Let's see if I can find the wreck footage.
You know, going in, yeah, there's going to be crosswinds. Front.
Come and had been created a really nasty.
I'm sure he had a big talk with his guys after losing out on. I'm sure he had a big. Well, Patrick Lefebvre, who owns and runs the Dakota Quick Step, I'm sure he had a big talk with his guys after losing out on the last crosswind day. And I'm sure there were some choice words said to the guys. So there was no question that a Belgian team, which are crosswind specialists, they know what to do in a crosswind, and they showed it today big time.
Oh yeah.
The crashes, oh my gosh! I mean,
that,
there was a big one. Just as guys were trying to get closer to the front,
Ridge,
and they knew the crosswind
Yeah,
was
mate.
coming, and took down Sam Bewley, Nico
Look at all the
Roach,
sweet
Tom
side. It
Scoyens.
has all these fancy hops in
And it
there.
looked like Roche was going to be the worst off. They were trying to help him stand
couple
up,
haven't heard him. I
and
thought it'd be a little bit
then we
better.
just heard over the radio that
good.
Sam Bewley was out,
18-hour
and
four-pack
just
good,
as
I'm
the
not
camera
sure.
cut away to the main field, we heard Sam Bewley yell out in frustration because he realized, I think at that point, he'd been hurt so bad that his race was over.
Yeah, these riders, they are so tough, Alex. And Sam Bewley, their team help. Can I continue racing? DNF help getting back up. And whenever you see a rider on the side of the road who's looking not entirely capable of supporting their own weight,
It's always
it
so
just
easy to forget when you watch.
makes your heart
them
stop a
when they
little
go
bit
down,
because
and it's just
they're
like,
thinking about getting
a lot
back
of
on their
times
bike,
it
but is
doesn't
that
look like a big
actually
deal,
the
but then
best
I think if I
decision
went over
for
my
them?
bars on
Whatever the case,
Black
Nico
Top,
Roche, amazingly, he did get back on his bike. He got
hit
back
other
into the
bikes,
group,
how
and he
painful that would be, then
finished
to get up and
riding.
ride
So
like 80
So
more
ripped
miles.
off his shoulder.
Yeah, look at that.
He's down to skin and bones, and kind of can barely walk. Gets on his bike and keeps going, and pretty soon there's
dudes
barely
are just
walk.
nuts.
Gets on.
I mean, look at that. I was wondering this earlier. When I ran cross country in high school, would they actually taught us how to, like, fall if we were going downhill? We were told all the time, don't put your hands out, you'll break your wrist. To turn and tumble. Like, do cyclists have any kind of training on falling? I can't imagine. It all happens so fast, right? But I don't know. I guess they're just super.
On his bike,
that's a very interesting point you bring
All
up.
these islands. there was
holding
so
the
much
radio into
road
his
furniture,
jersey.
as they call
Yeah,
it.
that's a very interesting point you bring up, Alex. These radios, you don't want to crash. Getting scraped up, it's awful. It's incredibly painful. You have difficulty showering. You have difficulty sleeping. These things that are supposed to be your relaxing time, the things to help you get through the
How
tour,
are the,
suddenly
Lap
they
15
become
porters
torturous
then?
when you're covered in road rash. But the radios in your back pocket, they are these big, hard things. And whenever I see a rider
says had a
crash on
couple
them,
porters, some Ohio
it's an
Dairy
injury that you
trailers
don't
brought
necessarily
us
think
Lap
of, but
15 4-pack.
that's going to bruise.
Also,
That
were
is
they
going
staying
to
at the-
seriously hurt. It can mess up your ribs
Pause this
if
up
you fall
now.
right on your radio.
Were the guys riding Ohio Dairy staying at the hotel in Northside? Horrible porter. I feel like I've had some good Lock 15s back a while ago, but I don't know. Look at that. Oof. On a totally flat stage that was supposed to be unexciting just for the sprinters. Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's craft beer so popular. It's amazing that some places just get away with brewing bad beer. I don't know. I just feel like you think if you're a brewer and you brewed a bad beer and you tasted it, you'd be like, that's not good. When I used to homebrew, that's what would happen. You'd be like, oh, that's not good. That's a beer that I'll drink after I've had, that's a nightcap beer. I don't know. "30 breweries on Ohio to Erie." He was saying that people who stopped by the bike shop and dropped them off some beer at the bike shop were riding Ohio to Erie, which is Cleveland to Cincinnati. I've got a few videos. We did it 2 years in a row now, or 4th of July. He's saying the riders who stopped by the shop and dropped them off some beer plan to hit 30 breweries. Wow. I mean, if you watch my videos, you know we hit breweries, but 30's a lot. I guess they're probably just getting flights or sample sizes, maybe? I don't know. Are there even 30 breweries on the route? I mean, don't we hit most of the ones that are open and worthwhile? Trying to think, we got lunch and dinner at a bunch of breweries. Well, we had maybe 5. See, trying to find it. Oh, that's one thing I forgot. I meant to change that logo up in the corner there to the white one for this week. Something to write on my list for something to fix with the stream for next week. They started in Cincinnati, hit a bunch there, hitting a bunch in Cleveland too. Well, Cincinnati, you could hit a ton of breweries. Well, obviously Cleveland also. It's for us, it was always when we're going through the small towns, trying to find. It would be like, oh, is there anything in this? Oh, this small town has a brewery. That's definitely where we're stopping then. Cincinnati, with them being kind of a hot spot, we actually didn't go out to any this year. Did we? No. Last year we did, but this year we didn't go out to any brewers there. We didn't want to be out. So we ordered food in, and Ben and Aaron rode down to a bottle shop, and we had this beautiful Airbnb. See if I can pull up the video. Hey, there you go. There wasn't really any reason to go out when we paid for this view, which wasn't expensive, but that was a cool. Oh wait, I don't have it up. That's why I do this. That's still not up. Clicked on the wrong browser, maybe. Yep. That's the point of practicing this, so I could get it right. I realized last week I had myself in the corner like this for like 20 minutes while I rambled with one photo in the background. This is what I was trying to show, the view of the Airbnb. Yeah, over the Rhine, kind of overlooking the whole city. Pretty cool. There were 2 patios, a full rooftop one, and then one right off the main level. Yeah, that was the rooftop view. I want to see the rain from today's, the video I posted today, but yesterday's rain. What we ended up riding in. Hey! What's up, Jay? Completely, I stole your name as I'm trying to learn how to live stream. as I said in the beginning of these live streams, one of my when you answered a question last week and someone had asked you if the live streams had any benefit, and you said you had actually done something professionally where you're running them for other people. That was kind of my goal. In case any of my clients asked me, can you do a live stream? I wanted to be able to say yes. So I figured a couple times a week I'll test it out and try and learn how to do it. So yeah, if that opportunity opens up, then I could be like, oh yeah, I have an idea how to do that. So yeah, I figured practice a couple times a week. Got the basics down, got my DSLR able to record, got some different scenes with, the browser look, figured out how to put an intro up with a countdown today, so. Yeah, I love being able to use my Canon as the webcam. I actually figured that out for doing Zoom meetings because I don't have a webcam on my desktop. I'm like, when I first started doing it, I was always pulling out my laptop and using that horrible camera, and I couldn't stand it. And Canon released their software so I could actually stream from my 5D Mark IV. Now this also led me to figure out how to use this thing, my audio interface. What I use for recording audio, but using it as an audio interface tonight. Yep. And you were talking too about the personal goal thing, how like you wanted to stream. Terry just said, practice is, what you got to do. But like setting a personal goal, and that's what I have to do to learn stuff. That's, it's the whole point of YouTube for me in general is, all that is translated into my professional career, just making myself learn Premiere and getting more used to it and doing it every day and making videos all the time. It just makes me a better editor, and I can edit quicker. And yeah, same thing with live streams. If I was like, I'm just going to learn how to do this, and I just recorded them for myself, I wouldn't keep it up. I need to give myself a goal, like do 2 of these a week, and then I'll actually do it and learn how to get better. Ben asked, when's Terry coming to Akron? But I know from watching the morning routine, Terry hates the travel questions because we can't travel right now. So hopefully, if Terry did come out post-COVID, me and Ben could give him a good ride, take him to some cool places. But yeah. We did get removed from New York's quarantine list, so it was great that me and Ben were able to go out and ride in New York State. We didn't go to the city, but we did do Buffalo to Rochester, actually. This ride, yeah, the Erie Canal. This is another big reason for the practice what we were just talking about is having so many screens. I watch my live stream, I have the YouTube up, and then figuring out how to actually make something happen. It's hard to actually remember where I need to click, and that's why I want to practice at this kind of thing. So let's see if I can get the seems like my mouse. My computer's either freezing or my mouse is caught on something. Oh, there we go. God, Rochester is so cool. Yeah, waterfall right downtown. Oh, that ride is why you thought we lived in New York now. Buffalo is a 3-hour drive from here in Akron, so when we drove, stayed at the Airbnb and rode out in the morning, so not too bad. Yeah, I do have a 2 monitor setup. Multi-screen helps a lot because I love it for editing. I don't know how people edit on laptops. I am a total desktop guy, so I have a big display where I'm more of a photographer than anything, so my photos are on one screen and then all my Photoshop tools are on the other. But I even love it for Premiere. I just have my, preview screen and timeline, or the whatever, where the footage is coming from, and the video, and then the timeline on the bottom, then all the tools, the effects, and the import screen in the import windows on the other screen. It's, yeah, 2 monitors is just the best way to go. I've also thought of and I've seen how Terry has his laptop involved, how I could, make it even more, get more screens going on, so I'm less clicking around and messing up. Like right now, I actually clicked on the wrong thing and I've lost what my stream looks like on YouTube, and I have no idea how to get it back. I assume I am still live. Instead of having to turn that off so I don't get the feedback loop. Cool. Yeah, so anyways, got some good rides in over the last. Well, if this is still running, which I'm not sure if it is, I am going to sign off. I have to get about, what time is it? It's 10 o'clock. I did about an hour, and I have to get about another hour's worth of work done before I crash. I have, let's see, I have a ton of photo editing to do from a studio shoot I did. It's all tedious clipping and outlining and removing fingerprints and dust and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, so awesome that my influence and reason for doing this, Terry, joined. Good to talk to also Ben, my #1 riding buddy. And like I said, eventually I'll start promoting these. Right now, it's like if someone finds them on YouTube, cool. But yeah, my main goal is just to figure out all the details and kind of keep stepping it up a level each time, adding something new. Like I said, this week was figuring out an intro timer with a video and adding a couple different scenes, and then hopefully next time get a couple different cameras involved. And I would love to do some of these where I'm kind of working on down in the basement where I have all my bikes. So cool. Thanks for joining. If you're watching this in the future, thanks for checking it out, and have a good night. Thanks, Ben.